We are glad you're watching WION World is One. We are following the trip by Indian Prime Minister to Europe, which begins tomorrow, and Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be on his first Europe visit since the commencement of the Ukrainian war. The Indian Prime Minister will visit 3 European countries, Germany, Denmark and France. The significant Euro trip is aimed at strengthening ties between the Asian country and EU nations. Our principal diplomatic correspondent Siddhant Sibbal brings you all the details from Bali.
His first foreign visit of the year, Prime Minister Narendra Modi travels to Europe. He travels to 3 countries and begins his visit from Germany, the powerhouse of European Union. In Germany, he holds talks with the new Chancellor of Germany, Olaf Scholz, under the 6th intergovernmental consultations.
This will be Prime Minister's first intergovernmental consultations and in-person meeting with Chancellor Scholz. Scholz assumed office in December 2021. The Indo-German IGC meets every 2 years alternatively between the 2 countries. The last IGC was in 2019 in Delhi, for which the then German Chancellor Angela Merkel had visited the country. While Germany's invitation to India for G7 summit in July will likely be key announcement, the shadow of Russian invasion of Ukraine will undoubtedly continue to dominate.
For sure, you cannot meet in these days without talking about Ukraine, because it has effects on the international rules-based order. And we believe that it's in the interest of all countries on this planet to uphold territorial integrity and sovereignty. So for sure we will have an exchange with our Indian colleagues on that. And we will more pull than push, I believe, India in that term. And also trying to talk about possible implications of that war to other regions in the world.
A substantial portion of the visit will be in Denmark's capital Copenhagen, where Prime Minister will take part in the 2nd India-Nordic summit. Leaders of all 5 Nordic countries, Denmark, Norway, Sweden, Finland and Iceland, will participate in the summit that will focus on clean technology, climate change, renewables, etc.
The first India-Nordic summit took place in April of 2018 in Swedish capital Stockholm. The format provides a platform for the 5 Nordic or Northern European countries to come together with India to discuss issues from climate change to clean technology.
Nordic countries, and this is a good opportunity to discuss in a more structured format. We have had the first Nordic summit, I think in 2018. This will be the 2nd one. Again, we're looking forward to a very useful and important visit.
The Europe visit finishes with Prime Minister Modi visiting France to meet with French President Emmanuel Macron. The meeting comes even as Macron is fresh out of election victory, defeating far-right rival Marine Le Pen. Both Prime Minister Modi and French President share a close friendship. President Emmanuel Macron had visited India in 2018, while Prime Minister Modi had last travelled to France in 2019 when India was invited for the G7 Biarritz summit as a goodwill partner.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be the first head of government to meet Emmanuel Macron since his election victory last month. The visit comes at a time when both countries are celebrating 75th year of establishment of diplomatic relationship and will help set a more ambitious agenda for the strategic partnership. All in all, Prime Minister Narendra Modi's 3-country visit here in Europe will be dominated by the Russia-Ukraine conflict that has been a cause of worry and concern for not only Europe but across the world. With video journalist Neeraj Patel, Siddhant Sibbal for WION in Berlin, Germany.
Let's now talk more about this all-important Europe tour. Our principal diplomatic correspondent Siddhant Sibbal is joining us live from Berlin, and from New Delhi, Gurjit Singh, who is the former Indian ambassador to Germany. Ambassador, welcome to WION and Guten Tag to you, Siddhant. I will start with our correspondent in Berlin. 25 meetings, 8 world leaders. This will be a packed itinerary for Prime Minister Modi. He will spend the first 2 days in Berlin. What more do we know about this Europe tour?
Well, as we have been saying that this visit has many firsts, but also this visit provides opportunity for India to engage with the key powerhouses of European Union, both Germany and France, and of course the 5 Nordic countries of North Europe. And we have seen previous engagements as well. But on the table will be everything, whether it's defense, trade, bilateral relationship, and of course the evolving security architecture as well. But undoubtedly, it is the worry over Russia and Ukraine war, the Russian invasion of Ukraine. That is something that the Europeans would like to talk about more. Tomorrow, of course, is a packed day here in Berlin when the Prime Minister lands, because there are 2 key components of his visit to Germany. First, of course, the meeting with the German Chancellor, something that everyone is looking forward to, essentially given that this is their first in-person meeting since the new Chancellor came in. And there will be a lot of areas to cover. But also the diaspora. In fact, a short while ago, we were standing at the location where the diaspora event is going to take place. And the focus when it comes to the diaspora event is to harness the people-to-people relationship between Germany and India in terms of a future outlook, how the students who are studying here in Germany could, of course, become a key players when it comes to this partnership, an evolving partnership that, of course, has a lot of potential.
Siddhant, tell us a little bit more about the significance of the Indo-German intergovernmental consultations, or what is known as the IGC, and the role played by India.
Well, it's a unique format when it comes to both the leaders, the Indian Prime Minister and the German Chancellor, meeting alternatively every 2 years in each other's country. And we know the last such meeting happened in 2019 when the then German Chancellor Angela Merkel had visited New Delhi. And since then, there was, of course, a meeting scheduled, but it could not happen because of the COVID pandemic. So this year, the intergovernmental consultation that is going to take place on Monday, of course, happening with a delay because of the COVID pandemic, but also brings together the cabinet ministers of both the 2 countries as well, and how both countries can engage in this format of conversation. We know that India has various formats with various other countries, but this is unique to India-German relationship. But by and large, tomorrow when both the leaders sit down here in Berlin for the talks, for the intergovernmental consultations, on the table will be things where there are a lot of convergences, and we have seen more convergences than divergences in this relationship between India and Germany. And perhaps there could be key announcements on, first, of course, clean energy, use of hydrogen, and of course on the G7 invite to India as the guest. We know that Germany is the chair of the G7 grouping this year, and India has been consecutively invited since 2019 for G7 grouping meetings. So this year there can be an announcement as well, and that announcement could very well come on Monday.
Live from Berlin, I have to let you go now. Siddhant Sibbal, thank you very much for your input. Ambassador Singh, thank you very much for staying on. How do you see the ties between India and Europe at a time when there's a war raging in the continent?
The war is in Europe and the positive vibrations are with India. I think that's the simple way of describing it. This is not India's war, and Europe could also learn to deal with the world while they are at war, and I think they're doing pretty well. I mean, you saw the UK Prime Minister here, the European Commission President here. Now, Prime Minister is, as you already said, going to Europe and going to meet 8 leaders. Now, I think this is the time that Europe needs to engage with India without looking through Brussels or Washington's eyes. We need to have direct bilateral relationship. And that is the purpose of this visit. Second part is that the Prime Minister is going for the Indo-governmental consultations with Berlin and the Nordic summit. Now, these are not European Union offshoots. These are independent movements. Now, the intergovernmental consultations, besides what your correspondent has said, will see the presence of the Indian Foreign Minister, Finance Minister, Science and Technology Minister, and I think the Minister for Earth Sciences. Now, these ministers will also meet their counterparts besides participating in the intergovernmental consultation.
Right.
Intergovernmental consultation, yes, as Mr. Sibbal said, is a unique format, but it is up to us to make it a productive, unique format. And I think that is where a lot of effort has gone in to have productivity out of this meeting. Among the various other things which your correspondent mentioned, I would like to add two more. One is a possible agreement on people mobility, letting people travel more freely and study and work in Germany. I think that is very important.
All right.
Other one, I am a votary of trilateral cooperation. And I think India and Germany need to take their SDGs and climate and green partnership to the rest of the global south. So I would like to see a partnership of this nature announced, which will say, let's work on the SDGs for the betterment of other countries in the global south, much as Germany and India have worked together.
Let me ask you this and make it brief, Ambassador Singh. What is the message that Prime Minister Modi is trying to send not only to the United States but to the West with this trip to Europe?
I think the message that we are giving is that globalization promised us many things. And we stuck by WTO, climate change. Now, unilaterally, you cannot deprive those who align with globalization the benefits to unilateral sanctions. Germany is uncomfortable with sanctions, so is India. So this is the time for us to talk directly. The second part is that we need to keep the world together. You cannot have Russia rusticated from the portals of international organizations, whatever wrong they may have done. You need to keep engaging countries and have a dialogue with them. And I think this is the common position which Berlin and New Delhi share.
Ambassador Gurjit Singh, thank you very much for your insights today and for talking to WION. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.